Hello, boys and girls, and thank you for joining us for another lesson with Mr. Fieck. Today we're going to continue with the Unit 6 review, Part 2, going over and reviewing some of the mastery concepts for Unit 6 that we've touched on earlier in the unit. So let's jump right in. The area of the path is 8,024 square feet, and one dimension is 8 feet. What is the length of the other dimension? Use labeled sketches or equation. So the area of a path, area, we know area equals length times width. So if we know that, we can plug in what we know. We know that the total area is 8,024. Okay. And we know one dimension is 8 feet. Does it matter if it's the length or the width? No, not really. So we could do 8 times. So we're trying to find the missing dimension. So 8 times W equals what? So if we know the total area, this is going to be a division problem. So I'm going to start by setting up my ratio table. And I have to figure out how many groups of 8 it would take to make 8,024. So 8. That's that, and I need to take that all the way to 8,024. Now, again, I'm going to look at place value. There's going to be one where if we made jumps and started just 10 and doubled it to 20 to 40, that's going to take us a long time, and we're going to be here for a while. So I'm going to start by looking at place values. How many 8s can go into 8? Oh, that's 1. And then after that, I have 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to start by making 1, 2, 3 place values that I'm just going to fill in with zeros. So 1 times 1,000, so 8 times 1,000 would be 8,000. So right away, making a jump of 1,000 gets me 8,000. Now, how far away from 8,024 am I? I'm only 24 away. So now we're already down to just knowing basic facts. 8 times what gets me closest to 24 without going over? Well, I know because I know my facts. 8 times 3 is 24. Now, 8,000 plus 24 gets me my 8,024. So then I have to add those together. So how many groups of 8? It would be 1,003. So now, use labeled, what is the length of the other dimension? The other dimension would be 1,003 feet. So it would be an 8 by 1,003 feet. So using place value, because that's going to help us when we get to standard algorithm or traditional long division. All right, let's look at the next one. It says a perimeter of the rectangle is 846 centimeters. 846 centimeters. And one dimension is 134 centimeters. What is the length of the other dimension? So now we have to think, this is perimeter. So the first thing it says is it's a rectangle. Okay. And we know the total perimeter is 846. And we know that one dimension is 134. Does it matter if it's the length or the width? No, not really. So I'm just going to put 134. But if I know this is 134, I know my background knowledge of rectangles, this has to be 134. So if I add those two together, that gets me 268. Those two added together would get me 268. So now if I'm at 268, well, let's think. 268, okay. So how far away? Well, I could do standard algorithm. So let's see, can I take 8 away from 6? No, I'd have to borrow. That becomes a 3. This becomes 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. See, I can't do 6 minus 3, so that becomes a 7, and I bring 10 over. 13 minus 6 is 7, 7 minus 2 is 5, so I'm at 578. So 578, a lot of people would just say, oh, well, the length must be 578, but we have two sides that have to be the same, so we have to divide the 578 in half, because that's going to be our length on the top and the bottom. So now if I think, what's half of 500? Well, that would be 250. Okay. And then half of 78, well, half of 70 would be 35. Half of 8 is 4. So that'd be 39 on top of that. So if I added, that'd be 9, 8, 289. So that would get me 289 on here and 289 on here. And if you really wanted to make sure, you could add all four sides together, okay? Or you could think one length and width must equal half of my 846, which would be 423. So these two together should make 423, okay? So what is the length of the other dimension? It is 289 centimeters. All right, and then the last problem we're going to look at is a line plot one. And this one, Darius collected snails. He wanted to see each snail could travel farthest in 1 minute. Below is a table showing the distance. All right, be sure to finish labeling the thing and make all the marks on the line plot before you plot the data points. So if I look, we're counting by eighths here. So the first thing I have to do is label that's 3 and 1/8. That's 3 and 2/8. Okay, and then I just went ahead and finished filling these in, so you didn't watch me fill all those in as I was doing that. But now we have to plot. So snail A is 4 and 3/8, so I need to find 4 and 3/8. Sorry if it's a little small. I'm just trying to fit them all in on the number line. 3, so I'm just going to make a little mark as I do it. 3 and 1/8, 3 and 1/8, 4 and 7/8, 3 and a half, which would be 3 and 4/8, 4 and 1/4. Well, 4 and 1/4 is equivalent to 4 and 2/8. So also finding equivalent fractions, 3 and 7/8 and 4 and 1/8. So now if I check, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7. All right, I have all 7. So what is, now I'm going to go look at my questions. What is the difference between the shortest and the longest distance? So basically, what is the range? That's what it's asking, the maximum minus the minimum. So the maximum is 4 and 7/8 minus our minimum, smallest, is 3 and 1/8. So let's see, 4 minus 3 is 1, 7/8 minus 1/8 is 6/8. Or we could divide both of these by 2 and simplify it for 1 and 3/4 inches. All right. Then it says find 2 snails that traveled the farthest in 1 minute and add up their distances. So the 2 that traveled the farthest would be 4 and 3/8, 4 and 3/8 plus 4 and 7/8 and add up their distances. So if I add them, start with 4 plus 4 is 8. And then 3/8 plus 7/8, we have a common denominator, so we don't have to do anything with that. I get 10/8. Well, 10/8, when your numerator or top number is greater than your denominator or bottom number, that's an improper fraction. So I can get another 8 out of 10, which means I'll add another whole. So that would be 9. And then if I take 8 out of 10, I would be left with 2/8. Or they're both even, and I can simplify them, 9 and 1/4 inches that they traveled together. Okay, just kind of going a little further to talk about some review terms. What would the mode be, or the number that happens most often? Well, in fact, these would all be the mode because they all have the same amount. The most, which is 1 in this case, so they would all be our mode. And then our median, or our middle number, I would just, to find the median, I would just cross off and go small, large, small, large, small, large. And this one, 4 and 1/8, is our median or middle set of data. Okay, these are all the concepts that should be mastered for Unit 6. Thank you for joining us. Hope it makes sense. Go make it a great day, boys and girls.